hope you guys are doing great. I want to show you how to use chain pendant as a background kind of effects. Okay, something like this. I will also show some other examples just as I'm speaking, and then I'll show you some more variations and how you can toy around with this. So let me get into it. We're gonna use element once again, so I'll delete our solid and I will delete this image over here so that we kind of start from blank. Okay, real quick little announcement. I'll be dropping the FX Essentials Volume 1. If you guys have used my Rotopack presets, you know how hard I go with my After Effects presets, so these will be one for the books. So just watch out for these. A ton of cool transitions, effects, and a bunch of more other stuff coming through. Let's go on with the video. I want to do everything step by step so that we can save time and so that I can show you different variations that you can do. So up top, I do have my roto for Chef G. If you don't know Chef G, he's an amazing artist with very many with so much drama with the feds. Okay, I also have a refined soft matte on his roto, which I think I'll talk about it later on, so I will deactivate it for now, and then ideally we'll be starting on a clip like this. Okay, this is our background. Right now I will disable our roto. So what I did, somewhere around here you can mask around the pendant. What I also did is that I just went to Google and I searched up his chain, so you can see I'm getting different entries, and this is the one that I did download. It's from IG. With a clearer picture like this, I think you can create something very good and much more easily. So this is what I just did. I'll import my image, put it right up here, put it around here, and then what you need to do, we are going to draw some mask around these letters. So just pick your masking tool and then isolate that layer, go around these letters. Okay, this is just how I went about it. So I want to do all of this step by step. I think I will waste so much time, so let me just get the one that I already used. I'll reactivate it. So this is the mask that I was able to get out of that image. Okay, now one of the things that you'll notice, if I hit M, we do have some masks on add and some of them on subtract, and that is because we need to account for these. Let me just hide these. We need to account for these spaces, so I will actually put all the masks on none so that you can see. So ideally for the first 4 masks, I think just put them on add. These are the ones which go around this, but then we need to account for this space around the letter E, around this pendant. That's the thing that will give us a realistic extrusion on element. Once you're done with that, you go around these spaces, and then if I track these masks, I think it's just 2 of them, put them on subtract. No, we also have this other one, subtract, so that we always have that gap in between. And then from here, I think everything is straightforward. Just add a new solid and add element on it. Drag it over here. Once again, go to your custom layers, custom text and mask, point it to that image that you do have, and then highlight it as the masks so that it can pick out the masks. So we can now go into the scene setup, extrude, so that we can get an extrusion of these. Click on the extrusion model, on the bevel, increase the extrude. I think you can still play with the bevel size and everything else, but I just choose to leave them as they are, about 2.4. Then we just need to add some materials. Just as from the last tutorial that I did, I plugged you guys a link to Elite Shaders. Just get the foil material. Here it is. I will drag the foil material, and here's our basic chain, just like that. Okay, click on the foil so that you can toggle some of these settings. Toy around with the glossiness. I will tone it down just a little bit up to around 60s, and then let me look at my bump. The bump, actually, you don't really have to play much with these. Once you have the materials from Elite Shaders, they actually do most of the work for you. And then for us to get the same kind of reflection and the same color, let me just hit OK first. If I come back here and then I will disable our image first, you can see we don't quite have the same color that's on the chain itself that the artist is using. So we need to go back, click on environment, just activate it, and then click on the environment once again. We want something that's a bit warm. So from the last tutorial, I think I went with the town. Let me just go back. I went to V1 and then we went with this town. Okay, the problem with this is that it will reflect more of like something that is more silver-ish, and if you go back, you can see it's, even if I try rotating, I can try rotating the lighting, we rarely get that same color. Okay, so what I recommend, we need to get something that will give us something close to this color. So I'll go back right under environment. Let me pick something that is warmer, studio warm. So this is the one that I will actually use the studio warm. And now you can see we have the environment lighting that is kind of similar to the chain itself. I can just toggle around my glossiness just a little bit, and then the normal bump, and then finally the reflectivity. I think we can just tone it down a little bit, but this doesn't really count much for this tutorial. Hit OK, and now you can see with the lighting that we had rotated, it's kind of coming together like a fucking puzzle. I think I'll just rotate the lighting a little bit more. As you've noticed, I haven't changed any lighting. I don't want this material to reflect on my footage, so I'll just leave it at none. And now we're just spicing it up. Let's go to our group 1, and then particle replicator along a plane. We want 2 copies of these. Then we need to scatter them so that they can be a little bit spaced. We want to keep them right behind the subject. Let me first separate them. So go to scatter under replicator, and then the X scatter. I'm sure it's the X scatter, so I'll just -20, still -30 there. Okay, now they are kind of separated. Now I'll go on my particle look, drop down the replicator particle look. I want the size to be just a little bit larger, so not this one, not the particle size XY, but the particle look itself, the particle size over here. We'll keep it at around 15. And then I need to go back to the scatter once again under replicator, scatter X. You can still use 1 copy, but I think when you have like 2 copies, it makes it look like much more dope. Now I'll space it just a little bit more. Okay, yeah, so that's it. So I will have these 2 letters like this, and then I can also change the position so that it's more central. Remember when I told you about the roto? That's where it comes to apply. So I will reactivate my roto. Let me just give it a different color. Make sure our solid with element stays below the roto. Okay, and let me activate the roto so that the artist is in front of everything else. In terms of the roto, I did tell you once you're done doing the roto itself, don't even try tweaking the feathering and contrast. Just add a refine soft matte and add the smoothing and a little bit of feathering. You can look at my settings. Let me isolate this layer just a little bit without the refined soft matte, with a refined soft matte. So it's just a little bit of feathering and a little bit of shifting the edge so that you have something that is a bit smoother. Okay, now I'll reactivate everything. Now you can see our letters are right behind him. Just we're now adding a little bit of animation. Keyframe the position Z, okay, the position Z, so that they can kind of come from behind and then come towards the screen. Add the keyframe, hit U, push that keyframe to my right. You can also have them come from in front of the screen, but I prefer if they kind of come from right behind, and then just easy those keyframes. And then while that happens, we can also have it kind of zoom from being smaller to something big. So what do I go? We go to our particle look, particle size, keyframe the particle size, just push that second keyframe in front, and then make sure that it also starts at about 0. You can also add the force opacity. I think there is somewhere where there is a force opacity keyframe. Just play around with the curves. I want it to come fast. Pause. I want it to, yeah, just pop it. Let's see. No, that's not a good graph. I think the other way around. Yeah, so I think this is much better. I leave the particle size graph as they are. Okay, now once it's somewhere around here, we need it to have a little bit of movement so that it's not very static. So I think you can play around with a wiggle expression so that it shakes around. What I really mean by that is that you can come down to the create group null, create it, and then just hit A, hold Alt while clicking on here, give it a wiggle of like 2 to 6. Let me see, 2 to 6. Yeah, you can see they kind of shake around that area. For now, I'll just close the visibility of that group null. I want to show you something else. Just as they come, I think we can just have them kind of twist around, just around the frame. So what we do, we'll look for the rotation. We're gonna look for the X rotation random. Right under our black solid, find the particle rotation, under rotation random XYZ. That's where we can kind of rotate them around like that. So we'll just keyframe these from 0 and then have it just twist around like this. Yeah, up to that. And then you can have these kind of like be as our final animation. Wait, so I think whether I disable or re-enable the view for the group null, it doesn't change. It will just still do the movement. This is the fun part. This is where we like cook everything up and make everything look delicious. I'll add a glow and a curves to this. I'll go for the deep, I'll go for optical glow, just reduce it and then just increase the size, increase the highlights only values, and then alpha channel, extend it so that you can see through it. And now you can start seeing, you can kind of start seeing our results. And also add a curves. For this curve, I won't increase the highlights much. I will drop the shadows and then I'll just put this kind of right here. Okay, then I think something that is also slept on is a drop shadow. Increase the distance a lot. Without the drop shadow, with the drop shadow, I think I'll increase the distance still a little bit more. And we can finish this up with adding a solid, with adding an adjustment layer. Make sure the adjustment layer stays just above the black solid but below the roto. Okay, and then we'll add a fast box blur. You can also try the radial blur, but I think it did have, it kind of expands everything else, but I'll still show you. This is how it's looking now, just with a little bit of blur on the background. I think I can check our keyframes just a little bit in front so that you can see all the words first before they kind of start turning around. And these are the basics. These are more like the basics. Let me just disable this adjustment layer a little bit. Go back to our solid, still under lighting. You can rotate this. Okay, I just rotated it a bit on the X. You can also do it on the Y. This could actually be my best copy so far. I think it has the right amount of shadows and it looks actually very realistic. One more thing, I'll reactivate my adjustment layer. Let me deactivate the fast box blur, and don't forget to add a sapphire flicker. Reduce the random frequency from 30 all the way up to around 10, and then you can increase the amplitude just a little bit. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's kind of affecting everything including the background, so I think I could just cut it, put it on the solid directly on our element layer. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is a bit more specific. It doesn't do everything on the background, but instead on the words themselves. Now I'll show you some variations of what I did so that we can save more time over here. So on this one, what I actually want to show you, it's actually a colorama. When you add a colorama and deep glow onto this layer, you can actually pull off something very different. For this one, we couldn't choose optical glow, but instead I had to go for deep glow too. Under colorama, just change the output cycle to a solarized red for this case, or you can also try other variations. If you do like color, I think I saw something very good with, yeah, RGB actually stood out. If you like the popping colors and trippy stuff, I think RGB could actually go well. But for this one, I was actually going for the solarized red. Couple that with some deep glow. You can look at my settings for deep glow too. And I think we can also add some flicker. So back to its adjustment layer, I can reactivate the flicker and the fast box blur. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I think this is okay, but I would increase the amplitude a little bit more, and I think I will just disable the fast box blur. But I think the fast box blur is actually more applicable in most other examples that you can try with. So I like this variation actually. Let me know down in the comments which one you'd rather go for. Hope you enjoyed this one. I actually like this red pendant effect. Before I forget, I also did something cool right over here. You can see the letters kind of come through and they are kind of expanded. Right on our solid, I had a Y size right under group 1, and a particle size XYZ. I keyframed the Y size so that as they come in, the Y value was actually at 1.6, and then it kind of dims back to normal. These are the keyframes you're actually watching out for. These are the ones. I actually didn't edit the keyframes. I just left them as so that the words could fill up the screen and then compress back to normal state as they also rotate. So don't forget, that's something also that you can also add into your toolbox. Don't forget, at the end of the month, that's around 31st October, I'll be dropping my FX Essentials Volume 1, which will be actually going crazy. So watch out for that on my preset store.